Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge of the Brawler Cafe. Now that we have finally gone through resurgence, cleared my promises, we can now move on to Age of Aurelus. The speed of videos won't be as fast as they were last week. We'll probably be doing about 3 videos a week, two of them being these, and then a podcast. So we'll go through about 2 factions each week. And by time the set is officially released on the 30th of this month, we'll have covered every faction. As before, we are only covering the best cards of each faction. The cards that are actually notable. For the sake of expediency, because I was so behind on the resurgence stuff, I did throw in stuff that was like hyped up and like just in general stuff that wasn't good, but I also want to talk about because it had generated discussion. But in this case, I will be only talking about the good cards in Bakugan. If you want to know what you should be looking to pick up for each faction from this set, just watch these videos and I will inform you. Starting off with actions, first one is a real banger. Liquidarts is a 3 cost that gives plus 400B, and then when you have an Aurelus Bakugan on your team, which is the only time you'd ever run this, it drops its cost by 2, so it's basically a 1 cost plus 400. This is tides without having any flow requirement to make it to plus 400. Really fantastic card. Any deck that's using Aquos and Aurelus just got another fantastic addition to its card pool. Moving on from there, Sinkhole I'm really excited for. So Sinkhole is a 4 cost. Negate a hero or action card. So the thing is, like, we have stuff like Absorb, which is 4 cost, negate an action card and copy its effects. Devolution is a 3 cost, negate a hero card. What makes Sinkhole really great is, you know what's a problematic card? You know what's really difficult to deal with sometimes? This little card called Mac that is, you can't negate with Blinding Ink or Absorb or any of that. So to stop it, you need hero negation. Hero removal isn't going to do the job. You need hero negation. But the only hero negation before now, it could only negate heroes. So if you're fighting a deck that doesn't use heroes, or you don't have it in time to drop it to stop a Dan or whatever, then it's not going to be very useful. So Sinkhole is fantastic because it fills the role of negating the Max and any other heroes that you might want to deal with, like Dan or whatever. Isn't too high of a cost because it's the same cost as those heroes that you want to stop from going off. And at the same time, it is not a dead card because it is still able to stop any action card that your opponent utilizes. Makes it very versatile, very worthwhile of a 2-of slot. I'll probably be slotting this into basically every Aquos deck I build going forward, because having that out to Mac is so valuable. Next, we have pretty much the only notable awesome rare or higher in the entire set. Well, there's like 1 or 2 others, but they're not Aquos, I'll tell you that much. So Clone Army is notable, but only in one deck. Only in one deck. Clone Army is notable exclusively for its usage in Aurelus Trox, because that's a deck that's all about spamming out low-cost stuff, and Aurelus Trox getting huge damage as a result. So because of that, you can use Clone Army to get very high Frost Strike count on your Bakugan that already has really hard to beat beat power and extremely high damage to just kill. Just get a guaranteed kill. That's the usage of Clone Army. It's not good like anywhere else, but it is quite notable for its usage in Aurelus Trox. And lastly, for actions, we have Ninja Gear. This is a 0 cost for Aquos. I think this is the first case of a faction getting a second 0 cost, and it allows you to retract one of your open Bakugan. Unlike Fixation, it doesn't require it to be one that wasn't open this turn, so you can just drop this, retract it for any deck that really wants to reuse a Bakugan over and over, like an Aurelus Trox deck. This card is incredibly valuable because at the end of a turn where you've used Aurelus Trox, you can just drop this during the end step and retract Aurelus Trox, be able to select it for your next turn's roll. Really fantastic. Yeah, really good card for those sorts of decks. Outside of that, it is not very useful. It's too niche. But in those decks, it is super useful. Next up, so the new type of flips that we got that are actually notable in this set are these 1-cost flips that stop Aurelus, only Aurelus. However, if you do, you resolve a powerful effect. In Aquos' case, we got Hidden Treasure, which is 1 cost, stop Aurelus. If you do, you may draw 2 cards. That is really strong. And the really nice thing about this, something that you certainly don't mind having when it comes to flips, is coverage. And in that coverage, it is also pretty nice to have something that isn't non-X if you can afford to, because of ATDU, because ATDU otherwise can come and just completely wreck you. So what I really like I like these cards a lot because you can combo them in your deck with Fierce Charge, which is effectively the Outsider's flip for Aurelus. It's stop non-Aurelus. Play that. Play one of these stop Aurelus flips, and you have perfect coverage. Now, obviously, keyword flips like Pact of Darkness and Stand Together and Tiger Reflex are overall better than this combination. However, if you're using Aurelus Aquos Pyrus, which does not have any good keyword flips, this is what you want to go for. And even still, Aurelus is probably going to be the faction you're going to see on teams most often. Very, very many teams benefit from having Aurelus around, or specifically need to build around an Aurelus. So, if there's any faction you're going to have a single faction stock for, it's going to be Aurelus. And when you're getting these powerful benefits off that, that is useful. It means that they're actually doing something that can actually help you progress towards victory rather than just stalling your defeat. And some do this better than others, of course, but I think they're very, very handy cards, and I expect them to see a lot of play. And now we move on to Bakugan. First up, we have Aquos Pyrovian Ultra. This is a double Magic Shield Bakugan, and is the best double Magic Shield Bakugan because it has 400B, which is the highest base B power we have seen on a double Magic Shield Bakugan. And of course, it is also Aquos, meaning it gives you access to Aquos' great card pool. Its evolution isn't anything amazing. It's a 1 cost that causes it to go up by 200B and 2 damage, and if it is the only open Bakugan, you get +3 Frost Strike. The main thing is that this isn't bad. You're still getting plus 200B for 1 cost, so it's still useful in that regard. The Frost Strike doesn't hurt, like it's just there as a bonus. The fact that this is 1 cost is really what saves it. Just play this down instantly whenever and get that nice buff. Early game, the low stats of Pyrovian aren't that big of a deal because 1050 is still pretty comparable to most Bakugan in most decks. Like, unless you're Aurelus Garganoid, Aurelus Hydranoid, or something else on a Magic Shield, then Aquos Pyrovian's power on a Magic Shield is very comparable to what other decks get. Like, say for example, Nilius 1000B, that's lower than Pyrovian on a Magic Shield. Aurelus Pegatrix ties. Aquos Hydranoid Ultra ties. Chaos Plutonium, Darkest Hydrus Ultra, those both tie. If your game ends up going on too long, like to the point where you have to do another team attack, that's when things can get dicey, but that's when you just make use of Aquos' great card pool. Something on your opponent's team is likely to be weak enough for you to be able to take advantage of the scenario and get out a win. And then he's out of the way again. Or you can just use Retract and not have to reroll Pyrovian again. So, you know, I think this is a really solid Bakugan, and for Magic Shield decks, specifically Chaos Nilius, getting that 4th Magic Shield is super, super valuable because it allows all of your Bakugan to actually use a Magic Shield, roll onto a Magic Shield while still leaving 1 extra for Chaos Nilius himself to grab. It gives you a bit of a safety net if your opponent ends up stealing one of your Magic Shields by just spinning across the matrix to get to it, or accidentally picking it up, or consorting for it to steal it from your side of the field, or hot potatoing it onto their side of the field. Various ways that your opponent might steal a Magic Shield, so having an extra to give you a bit of a safety net is very handy. Next up, Aquos Hydranoid Ultra. Very good Bakugan, double fist, 701, and gets plus 200 on a fist, so this goes up to 1050B. It's basically Aurelus Pegatrix, but with less damage. The main problem with it right now is that its Evo sucks. It only has a Diamond Evo from Bakugan Resurgence. This is 8 cost, 1908. Not very good. I get the general impression that we're going to see a proper Evo for it in set 4. I imagine some of the season 1 anime stuff is going to spill over into set 4, and because of Hydranoid's current role, it would make sense for Hydranoid to show up there perhaps as, say, a Bakugan Elite Evo that is themed around a hero, like the ones we've seen in the first 3 sets for Drigo, Trox, and Nilius. But for now, his base form is still good enough to use him. I've said it before, but this base form basically outclasses Kirkelios all on its own, and Aquos is very valuable to have, so I think you're generally better off with Aquos Hydranoid. Just as a quick comparison, on a fist, Aquos Trox Ultra only ends up at 1250B, only 200B higher than Aquos Hydranoid Ultra. I don't think that's worth waiting for turn 4, and it's far weaker than Hydranoid Ultra before then. So what I would suggest to fist players who want to use Aquos, where Hydranoid is the best choice, what I would recommend to you is just save Hydranoid Ultra for last. His B power is still very much comparable at that point, and his low damage isn't a problem if he's a team attacker. Because the most important thing with damage output is making sure that you are consistently getting decently high damage. You don't want to overinvest on any one attack, because then you make it all the more likely that Flip will make that effort moot. The reason that low damage Bakugan can become problematic is because, hey, this attack winning this turn didn't mean anything. But if you have one low damage member on your team, and that's your team attacker, then they're just making effectively another attack from your other two Bakugan and still having a decently sized attack to make sure each of your swings is threatening your opponent a decent amount. Next up, Aquos Cabo. This Bakugan is also fantastic. Magic Shield, Flaming Fist, 105, and it gets plus 600B when on a Magic Shield or Flaming Fist. Very, very solid, 1350B, very strong. I'm not sure personally if I'd go with this or Aquos Peruvian and Chaos Lilius, but for general usage, Cabo is way better. And it got a decent Evo too. Hyper Cabo is 2 cost, goes up to 1100 with its boost included compared to the 700 of Cabo, which is plus 400B, which is hitting our benchmark for a 2 energy cost card. Also gets plus 1 damage, not much, but it's something. It's nothing incredible, which I'm glad for, because it has a really, really ridiculously strong base form, but it's still good enough to certainly see play. 2 costs for plus 400, that's really all I'm asking for out of an Evo like this. And lastly, what I just want to touch on as another fist option, though I think Hydranoid is preferred to it, Aquos Vicerox Ultra. This is one of the Bakugan with the new underdog keyword, which is basically when this opens, if it has a lower B power than the opposing Bakugan, you do a thing. In this case, it is one of the underdog Evos, which are Bakugan that when their underdog activates, they can play their evolution for free. So Vicerox is a 304 double fist, nothing super impressive, but its free evolution turns it into a 906. This is the same B power as Hydranoid on a green fist, of course. So if you wanted higher damage, this is something that you could go for in Hydranoid's place until Hydranoid gets a proper evolution. But I wouldn't go for it personally because of needing to draw into that specific evolution. And that is it. The good stuff from Aquos was basically the Bakugan Resurgence character cards that we already knew were going to be good, plus Sinkhole. Sinkhole is huge, guys. Sinkhole is such a good card. Like, don't have to worry about getting cheats by Mac anymore, just Sinkhole them. It's fine. And it's extra counters to normal might, so it's great. Love that card. Liquid Earth is great. Hidden Treasure is great. Fantastic cards all around for Aquos. Not much, but tons of solid stuff. With that said, that is going to be it for today. And next time, I will see you with Aurelus. Of course, the namesake of this set, Age of Aurelus. So, you know, first time for Aurelus actions and all that. So let's see what they have for us.